higher standard?
No, you look at the players, I just think they should be performing better. The difference between the Pochettino's side is, and this one now, is that this one is just not playing anywhere near as good a football as Pochettino's were. Even at the end, when they weren't winning, they were still playing some decent stuff, but not getting results. The honeymoon's well and truly over for him. That being said, he needs he's got this transfer window and the next one, which he should get. Otherwise, the whole thing's just a pointless waste of time.
Sure.
And then we'll see what kind of business they're going to do. But with the players they've got, not keeping the ball and lumping it up the field like they've done in the last 2 or 3 games when they've been under pressure, isn't going to win any awards for Tottenham and their fans.
They've gone from a team that is solid at the back, through the middle, and can score goals up front, to a team that looks like every time somebody goes at them, they're going to let goals in, and who have kind of dried up going forward. So, and it's not like there's been a huge overhaul of players. It's the same group of players. They definitely need players, and right now it looks like Mourinho can't get this group of players to play together.
Manchester United, as I mentioned it in action...
That might be a bit of the problem, Stevie, I think. That might be a bit of the problem with Tottenham. It is the same group of players. I think they have gone stale. They've been nearly men in a lot of competitions. There wasn't a trophy. Alderweireld and Vertonghen, not probably the players they used to be. Eriksen, halfway to Inter Milan, is his mind on the job. There's a few things really there with Tottenham. I think there are a lot of reasons why they're not playing well.
Meanwhile, United taking on Wolves, as I mentioned, tomorrow. Reports all around that Bruno Fernandes is about to join United, Ian, and I know you've been tweeting about it. You like this signing.
Yeah, and I thought they should have signed him last summer. They scouted him and then they didn't want to go through with the deal. I don't know what all the reasons were for that, but he's a player I like. I've seen him play for Portugal. He's an attacking midfield player. He gets goals. He gets assists. I think he's going to add some dynamism. I think he'd be a great signing for Manchester United if they can make it happen. It looks like it might happen, but the word from Sporting is they want players from Manchester United as part of that deal, notably Marcos Rojo, apparently. I don't think that'll be
they can have him.
Phil Jones, Lingard, take the whole shebang. There you go. Just a reminder.
Can fill a bus.
You can go to the website to catch up on all the latest transfer news. And also you can go over to YouTube for a bit of extra time. We stay late, of course, to answer your tweets. According to the bookies, Liverpool will finish in the top 4. Surprise, surprise. Manchester City will join them. Leicester City, meanwhile, 7-1 on to make it to the Champions League next season. Chelsea, 11-4 on. Manchester United, the closest challengers at 3s. Tottenham at 9-2. Ian, we've seen Leicester, of course, a great start to the season. It's their first real blip of the campaign, maybe as expected, losing to Liverpool and City. But obviously that big loss against Southampton a surprise, especially considering this was a team they beaten. The team in 5th place aren't exactly that trustworthy either in Manchester United.
Yeah, and I think there are other runners and riders like Tottenham who are also looking shaky. Wolves are a strong side. Have had a little bit of a blip recently, but they're a strong side. I don't think Sheffield United will hang around there, to be honest with you. I think the second half of the season, particularly the way they play, such a high-intensity game. Most of these guys come up through the Championship or the lower leagues. Have done a great job for Chris Wilder. I think they'll continue to have a good season, but it won't be that good. It's whether Man United can get any sort of consistency, which I personally don't think they can. I think Leicester, barring a disaster, are pretty good for the top 4.
Leicester okay, Stevie?
I think so, yeah. You know, the one thing Leicester's got really is they can sort of glide along during the season. You know, your Arsenal, United, Spurs, Chelsea, they're under the spotlight all the time. They're being asked questions all the time. So Leicester, with the lead they have over 5th spot, plus the ability they have, I think they'll be fine.
Was this inevitable? As you mentioned, you lose someone like Ndidi.
Yes, 100%. And I wasn't shocked at the Southampton result, by the way.
Really?
Listen, it becomes a mental thing. You've just annihilated a team by 9 goals, and then you've got to play them again soon. Yeah. It's a completely different mentality.
Did you have that with Crystal Palace?
We did. We beat Crystal Palace 9-0 at Anfield, and about 4 months later, we lost to them in the semi-final of the FA Cup. It's a complete mental battle.
And just explain that a little bit. Like, how
does your brain work?
Well,
you've got Southampton. From Southampton's point of view, This lot battered us by 9.
Right.
We owe them 1. So every one of them is like, they're all keyed up. Whereas Leicester, they're going, well, we battered them by 9. We'll just play a football and we'll be all right. And so when you start the game like that, it's not quite as easy to turn that around as Leicester found out.
And I know this is not a Southampton chat, but and some the other side of the coin is as well, they were arguably the lowest going into that game, and definitely after. Hasenhüttl was on the hot seat big time. He's not now, for the time being.
You sure?
Because they've played some really good stuff lately, so it wasn't as big a surprise because the reason Stevie mentioned, but also the fact they've been playing a heck of a lot better.
Everyone's got an opinion on United at the moment. Ian, what's yours?
Well, they blow hot and cold. You never know what Manchester United are going to turn up on the pitch, do you? On the weekend, they go and hit 4 past Norwich. I'll give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer credit for one thing amid the great debate. He's made Marcus Rashford into a very effective goal scorer, which he hasn't been really before now. He's getting a lot of goals now, so something's clicked there with the team. I mean, I think their best hope really of making a charge late in the season into the top 4 is they get this Bruno Fernandes deal done. He does come off and he gets the kind of goals and sets up goals in the way that he did in Portugal. But that's a big if.
Is he Messi? Is he turned into Messi, Bruno Fernandes, from Portugal to England? Because that's one player who you think can make that much of a difference, Ian.
No, I didn't say he could. I said if the deal gets done and if he does come off, and not everybody does come off immediately in England. But from what I've seen of him, he does look a player, to me, who might make a difference.
Do you stick with Ole, Ian?
Yeah, I think they are going to stick with him, I think. I think they're going to stick with him through to the end of the season now because they kind of like him. And like I said before, it'd be a bit like shooting Bambi, getting rid of him. So I think for good or bad, they're going to carry on with this and try to bring the young players through and hope that something clicks in the later stages of the season and they can nick into a top 4 place and maybe grab a trophy as well, something like the FA Cup.
You've got a big heart, Ian, haven't you? We will be, of course, looking in detail to that match tomorrow between United and Wolves. You can download our daily podcast, by the way, over on the website. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang will miss Arsenal's next 3 matches, of course, after getting that direct red at the weekend. Missed the matches at home against Sheffield United, away against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, then away against struggling Bournemouth. That's in the FA Cup. Ian, I know it's an obvious question, but it wouldn't be the first time I ask something like this. They're going to miss him, aren't they?
Yeah, obviously, he's always among the goals. He's always among the top goal scorers in the Premier League. He got goals for Borussia Dortmund. So, yeah, it's obviously a big miss. And it's a bit of a test of Arteta. I think Arsenal have improved under him. But are they going to be able to do that without their top goal scorer on the pitch, especially against Chelsea?
Yeah, it's going to be a big ask.
I loved Arteta's interview at the end of the Palace game when the reporter said to him, so Aubameyang's got a 3-game ban. And he said, well, we'll see. No, he's got a...
Try appealing that.
Oh, no, he's got a 3-game ban. It's coming.
Well, some people are saying it wasn't clear and obvious.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I'm not sure they should have changed that. It's not clear enough. Anybody watches that and says, all right, forget it. It was a red card all day, every day.
Yep.
Boring start. He's scored just under 50% of all their Premier League goals this season.
You're right.
Right.
It's
Nothing boring about it. No, there's no.
I wasn't asking
Really?
for your approval.
I'll tell you what, I stick up for you, now. You go...
So,
That's
clearly,
fine.
obviously, clearly that's a big miss. Lacazette can step up to the plate, for sure. He's a really good player, and now he has going to have to step up for Arsenal.
Yeah.
In that, main striking role. I know Aubameyang's been playing a little bit off the wider position, but somebody's going to have to bang them in for Arteta. It's only 3 games. It's not a disaster. They're not in the hunt for the league. They're unlikely to get in the top 4. But it is what it is. Do you want to start?
You got any stats?
No, thanks.
Well, if you came with a start and you're struggling for something to say, can have bailed yourself out for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, here's some stats. Look, 91 games, 57 goals.
There you go. You're right. No, the thing about Arsenal is it's a complete disaster, to be honest, for them that he's not playing. You know, not only is he the guy that scores the goals for them, but this team can't even put together a 90 minutes when they've got everybody.
Yeah.
So how are they going to do it when he's not even there? So, Yes, they'll miss him, but they got so many other problems that this is just another one.
What have you made of Arteta so far, Ian?
I think he said all the right things, and there is a difference in terms of, I think, work rate, energy, passion, commitment. Those should be basics. You wonder what the players were doing before, don't you? But Arteta, I think, has brought something extra out of them. It hasn't necessarily converted into the number of points they need at the moment to make the climb that they need. But I think he's going the right way with them, but there's a lot to do still.
This is it, isn't it? He really is picking the team up from the bottom.
Yeah, but how long is this going to... OK, there's been a little bit more energy. There's a little bit better shape. But when you don't get results, eventually that hurts you. Eventually players will stop believing and say, well, hold on a minute, this guy, we're doing this, we're still losing. So it comes back to what we've been saying the whole time. They need to change the personnel. Until they change the personnel, it is not happening. He said it himself at Palace. Oh, this was the Arsenal I liked for 30 minutes.
Right.
That's no use. The game lasts 90 minutes.
Why is that only for spits and spats in games?
Because the players don't have the mental strength to consistently turn up and do what they're capable of week in and week out. That's what the good players do.
Will that change at all with Arteta over the long term?
Not with this group of players.
It's a lost cause.
Well, they've already shown. The reason Arteta's there is because they couldn't do it under Emery. And right now we're seeing that they can't do it. As much as everybody says they're getting better, they're still not doing it. So that means it's a personnel thing.
Even if they went on some miraculous run, I'd still be looking at Arsenal in the summer and saying, right, who are they getting out?
Sure.
I don't care. Because it can pull the wool over some people's eyes for a short period. But this is a long-term appointment. This is a long-term appointment at Mikel Arteta. They've made a decision. So I think the interesting thing will be in the summer when the whole recruitment drive is back in full flow, full speed. And what kind of strength has he got within the recruiting people and the scouting system and the structure at the club to say, no, this is what we need and this is what I want. How much are you going to give me? How much are you going to back me? Because if they don't do that, he'll be fighting the same battles again next year. So this is about basically just keeping everything sweet until the summer, and then make sure you get your eggs in the right basket, or next season we'll be having the same discussion.
Yep. Little
Europa League run?
No, they're better off getting out.
No, won't you go final, win the final, get Champions League? It's not like what they're going to focus on.
That's not
what they're going to focus on, the league.
They've got to try and get themselves up the Premier League.
Why?
Why do they need another game? Why do they want to...
Hey, wouldn't you prefer to finish 10th and win the Europa League and be in the Champions League next season? Yes, is the answer to that. Right.
Not happening. Dream on.
ESPN FC.
Hey, dream on.
Tomorrow.